I'm going to let them in now.
Are they in?
Yeah, they're here.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming to this press conference we got going on here today. I'd like to thank the media for coming in as well. So my name is Joshua McMillan, Joshua McMillen. Today's issue is about the heating crisis in Lino Lakes Prison Correctional Facility, specifically with the units of K3 and K4. As somebody who was justice impacted and formerly was incarcerated in Lino Lakes, I know the situation for those two specific buildings. Basically, right now it's hot and it's over 100 degrees at some points, and inmates are not getting the proper airflow and AC that they need to physically and healthily to be sustained in there. Uh, they have refused to put air conditioners inside, and we are asking that we are declaring a warming and a heating crisis in Lino Lakes right now. Somebody was in there. I know firsthand how hot it can get and stifling. We have asked for remedies. All the remedies that they've done has been for nothing. It seems like the inmates in there are not being treated like they're humans, and these are human beings. These are loved ones that we have. These are fellow people that will be back out in our community. So how are we treating them? In my opinion, is a reflection of how they really feel about everybody else. So with that, I want to say I will be introducing a couple of speakers, and then I'll leave it up for questions at the end if anybody has any questions. So the first one I would like to introduce is my fellow brother Greg.
Oh, so I'm Greg Andriotti. I was formerly incarcerated. I spent 2 years in Lino Lakes in these particular buildings. I was an inmate there in 2017, 2018. I spent 2 summers there. The living conditions at that time were horrendous. The cells are way too small for even one person. Now they are bunking 2 people in them. So you got twice the body heat in that small space. Um, in the summer months, they will frequently close the yards, even the gym, because it's too hot. Yet it's not too hot to sit in a cell that I could literally touch. If I outstretch my arms, I can literally touch both walls. Um, you are not allowed to open the windows, and your doors must remain closed. If you didn't have a fan, and fans are frequently and currently on back order, you were forced to sit in the stagnant air. They refuse to allow any window coverings to keep the sun from baking the rooms all day. And these windows are not small windows. They're reasonably large windows. This is not allowed under the guise of it's a security issue. They claim that when they do their security rounds, they need to be able to see into the windows. There is, however, a big hole in this claim. Unless you're going to carry a ladder around and climb up to each second floor window to look in it, you can't see into those windows. So how much of a security issue can this really be? Let's see here. It seems as though their goal really is to just deliberately make it as uncomfortable as possible. They want to push the line, and it frequently happens where that line gets pushed so far where somebody ends up actually getting sick. Somebody actually ends up getting hurt. And we have seen this in other instances regarding other issues. and I have personally experienced it. They tell the public that they brought in air conditioners, but they sit by the staff desk. They keep the staff cool, not the inmates. The staff desk is in a very large rotunda with very high ceilings. Any effects of these conditioners would be completely lost in a space like that, except in the immediate area. And inmates are not allowed to hang around these desks. At night, each wing door is secured, further cutting off any effects from these conditioners. All the way around the desk are 10 phone booths, each large enough for one person, and they have a door on them. These doors must remain closed at all times, whether somebody is in them or not. There is no ventilation. These booths and temperatures in them exceed the surrounding area. I personally have walked out of these booths drenched in sweat. It seems to be some kind of a game for the staff. There is no legitimate reason for shutting someone into such a small space and making them suffer to talk to a loved one. The access to ice is extremely limited, especially at this time of year, because most of the time the machine doesn't even work. The unit itself, it becomes so hot that the machine overheats and it doesn't even work. And when it does work, they limit how much you're allowed to get. It really just boils down to one thing. It's like dropping an ice cube in a lake and expecting it to change the temperature of the lake. It's not going to happen. It does nothing to give somebody one glass of ice water a day. So let's hear it. Inmates are expected to function in these conditions, regardless of absolutely no ability to seek relief. Tensions run high, people feel sick, and no one cares. I'm sure everyone can say that they have experienced when they have been hot, when they have been overexerted, that they become irritable. Now let's compound that with hundreds of inmates. It's ridiculous. And they really just have no care whatsoever how you react to anything. You're not allowed to have an opinion. You're not allowed to say, that something needs to change. You are expected to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to suffer. And it's inhumane. So with that, I will pass.
Thank you for your story, Greg. We really appreciate it. Next, we have Gail.
My name is Gail Pepping, GAYLE POEPPING. To the media, thank you for taking this issue seriously and showing up today. I used to work in a jail in Minnesota. I have experience in these conditions and what the incarcerated individuals go through when they're locked up by working in those buildings. I have not been personally to Lino Lakes, but I have friends and family that have spent time in jail and prison, and I'm here today to speak on behalf of my fiance, who was recently moved into K4 as the temperatures were spiking and the air conditioning has not been working for a long length of time. As Greg mentioned, it wasn't working when he was there, and that was nearly 10 years ago or more. We have been talking, and so have the inmates, with staff over the last months regarding the issues with the AC in K3 and K4. There are several loved ones who are not here today who have emailed, called, spoke to staff, and tried to get these conditions addressed ahead of time. We are now in a heat emergency with extreme heat conditions that are affecting our loved ones in a unit where temperatures are just skyrocketing and worse than the feels like temperature. I mean, we all know what it's like to have the actual temperature and the feels like temperature of what's going on out here. I can only imagine what it's like in there. We have reached out to legislation, including our House of Representatives and Senates. We've reached out to the Ombudsman for Corrections. We've contacted the Minnesota Department of Corrections Central Office. We've contacted Lino Lakes Prison staff. And when all is said and done, they continue to pass the buck and tell us to contact somebody else. And it doesn't seem like there are options to move forward and to address this issue. When working in the jail, we were required to follow the rules that are written by the DOC. But the DOC writes the rules for jails and juvenile detention facilities, and it is their words that they don't have to follow their own rules. So who is governing? Who's overseeing the DOC? Who's making sure this is not a corrupt situation where they're just doing whatever they want and they have nobody holding them accountable? I have not heard of anybody that comes in to inspect, check the conditions, and make sure that these people are safe. And that's just it. These are human beings. They're our loved ones. There are many, many people, whether they're here today on this video or not, that care about each individual in that prison. It's somebody's husband, fiance, son, father. There's so many individuals in there that somebody cares about, and they have medical conditions. My fiance has sleep conditions that he's still waiting to have addressed by medical, and he has to have surgery so that he can breathe better. So if he's having breathing issues and he's in a heat emergency, he's having issues that are being escalated medically. An example of this is K3 had somebody who, and I don't know this individual, I don't know their conditions, had a medical condition, was brought out by ambulance, and it was escalated during these heat extremes. And my understanding is the individual is back, but this could have been avoided had there been air conditioning, had the conditions been taken care of ahead of time. So the DOC's small steps that they're trying to take to make things better are not working. I have talked to individuals in these units. As Greg said, like the fans are by the staff. They're not helping the inmates. The ice is very limited. It's first come, first serve. Once it's out, you don't get any. There are people that are locked in their rooms all day and can't come out and get ice, or they're punished. They get LOP, which is loss of privileges, for 3 days for trying to come out to get ice. The guys are trying to shower to stay cool. They step out of the shower and they're sweating immediately. They go into the phone booth to call a loved one. Our phone calls are limited to 15 minutes and they walk out drenched. It's like being hot boxed into a closed car. And we all know that that's a critical thing out here that we don't see people do to dogs, humans, you name it. Like it's something that the police get called. So why are we putting them in those conditions? There aren't staff that are going and locking themselves in those phone booths to see what the conditions are like, that it's safe for them. So how can they say that it's safe for our loved ones in there as well? I really challenge the DOC to make some changes, get this air conditioning up and running. Our understanding is it's one part needs to be replaced, and then it could be working the same as it is in another building that's identical to this building and has working air conditioning. So why are our loved ones suffering in K3 and K4? And then with that, I will pass on to the next speakers.
Thank you so much for what you said, Gail. We appreciate it. Next person up to speak is Kendra.
My name is Kendra Baumann, Kendrabaumann. The living conditions in Lino Lakes K3 and K4 are unbearable and inhumane due to the heat emergency we are in. The DOC has a responsibility to protect these inmates, which they are not doing. A few fans throughout the unit and some ice throughout the day. Yesterday, they did unscrew the windows so they could be open and painted the skylight to reduce heat. This morning, they added a couple industrial fans that were in storage that they pulled out. Small step, sure, but just a Band-Aid for a bigger issue. Not many people seem to care about these men in prison. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, but let's just say for a moment that these are our kids and they were in school with the same amount of heat. People would be making a bigger deal of it. Parents would be all over this, going to school, picking up their kids. Why? Because it's not safe for them there. Same with these inmates. Unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of going and picking our loved ones up, bringing them home, and taking them back when things cool off. I can honestly say the Department of Education would move a lot faster to fix the issues than the Department of Correction is trying to take care of these inmates. People may sit here and compare kids to grown men. You can, because they're both human. They both deserve the same thing for humane care. The DOC cannot be that heartless or cheap, or they can't simply go to a home improvement store and buy more fans to spread throughout the hallways in the unit to start blowing air into the inmates' rooms. Give them some small fans because some men can't afford to have them. A man did go to the hospital yesterday out of K3 to related health issues. He also does have a heart condition. How many men are going to have to go to the hospital before the DOC decides to move and actually fix the problem? Or is it going to have to take someone dying for them to get it fixed? Then they'll have lawsuits on their hands. I'm sure there is a way to fix the air conditioning in these two units, in these two buildings, where they can get them working without having to revamp or run new ductwork. They were saying they need approval of funds, which gets into the legislation. But how is legislation supposed to approve it when they're not in session right now? And even if they were in session and approved it, it'd probably take about 2 or more years for it to actually be fixed. The J buildings are the same layout as the K buildings, and the J buildings have the AC. The DOC bought a retrofitting adapter for the AC unit, installed it, and it worked. So why not for the K buildings? The AC unit needs to be fixed. There's no other way around it. Why does every other building in Lino Lakes property have air conditioning? Why is there a new air conditioning unit hooked up to a building that's not even housing or operating anything yet? Why are these the only 2 buildings that have gone without air conditioning for years? It's time for the DOC to make sure there are more fans in these units, bring water in for these men to drink, make sure the ice machine is filled, put up the window tint, but most of all, get somebody out there to get these AC units looked at and fixed. It's time for them to take care of their responsibility, which is protecting these men, making sure their basic needs are being met, and they're living in a safe and humane situation. And now I will pass it to my daughter.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, we got Miss Kiara. Kiara?
My name's Kiara Baumann, Kiara Baumann. The DOC has many responsibilities, but the one responsibility that they don't want to take care of is the air conditioning during this heat emergency we are currently in. And why do we think that is? The reason why the DOC doesn't seem to care about these poor men suffering, because us loved ones do care and want them to get the air fix in the K3 and K4 units. That has been hurting us as the loved ones. A man went to the hospital yesterday due to the heat because of his health condition. So why isn't the warden in Lino Lakes and our commissioner wanting to step up and help? They don't have the kindness in their hearts because they want to see these men go through absolute misery. Battle this heat because they see these men as criminals and not humans. I see my dad and these other men as people who are just sitting there miserable, and all they're wanting is some cool air. In K3, they go into these periodic lockdowns for hours because of the phones not working properly due to the heat, cameras going out, and then the fire alarms going off for no reason. That's because how hot it is. The COs are concerned about the inmates, and when they voice their opinions, they will get in trouble for it. Or they tell the warden about this, and yet the warden doesn't seem to care about this. We who have loved ones in there can't stand to see this. We can't sit back and watch these men go through this pain and misery that the DOC is putting them through. So the warden and the commissioner and the DOC of Lino Lakes needs to fix this problem and fix it fast. You are the reason why these men are sitting in these units that are pushing almost 100 degrees out. Fix the problem so that these men don't have to suffer and us loved ones don't have to worry so much. We don't like to have the same conversations over and over again about this whole air conditioning problem. Please step up, do your job, and get the AC fixed and take care of for our loved ones for the time they are there.
Thank you so much, and thank you to all who spoke. So I just want to leave this open for an opportunity if there's anybody that would like to build on what was said. I personally want to say that the corrections, and I emphasize this finger quotes, the corrections system is way too far from the word correction. It's punitive, it's detention. And in order for rehabilitation to really flourish, you have to have an environment that's set up for rehabilitation as well. And just because these men have committed a crime and are incarcerated doesn't mean they're still not humans. Doesn't mean these are not people that are not going to get back out in our community, and we want to set them up for the best way possible. I want to let the men know in Lino Lakes that you got a whole group of community out here fighting for your rights. As somebody who has been locked up, I feel like when I felt like I didn't have a voice, well, you have a voice. And Lino Lakes brothers have been speaking, and we just want to let you know we hear you and we're here for you. And that the media, thank you for coming because you also set up another level of accountability for those who are holding people accountable but not holding themselves accountable. So I just would like to say that. If there's anybody else that would like to just build real quick, otherwise we can just leave it for questions for the media.
Yeah, I'd like to add a couple other things. So according to what the weather, we are on track for this to be the hottest year on record. And that's on record. They've been keeping records for 100 years plus. It's not going to get better. Now is the time to act. Because if we keep punting this down the road, it's only going to get worse. Someone is going to get hurt. I think one of the questions that maybe should be asked also is, in 2025, they did a complete remodel of K3 and K4 due to black mold issues and deterioration of the buildings and so forth. Why wasn't this taken care of then? We already had the teams and everybody in there. It should have been taken care of then. And so I'll pass it on for anybody else.
Thank you, Greg. Is there anybody else that would like to say something before I open up it for questions to the media? Okay. All right. Media, is there anything you guys would like to ask? Any questions?
I have a question. Can you hear me? This is this is Kate with Minnesota Public Radio. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Love NPR.
Okay, great. Appreciate the invite. I wanted to just confirm like who the loved ones are of the folks that spoke and where they are staying, so I can describe like was it a father, fiance, which unit are they in, that kind of detail.
Can I say something to that real quick? I do know that the guys that are in Lino have always had some fear of retaliation for speaking up. So I don't know that their names are ones that they want out there. I can let the other loved ones speak for their people. But I do know that there has seemed to be some retaliation that goes on when they do speak up. So that's why we're coming to you guys to try to press this issue forward.
Can you just confirm like not
My
the
fi-
name, but like
my fiance is housed in K4.
your fiance's house in Figure 4? Okay, I appreciate it. That's helpful.
Thank you.
My husband and her dad are housed in K3.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that was it. Do you got anything else, Kate?
I do have one other thing. I did ask the DOC about the person who was taken to the hospital and then returned on Tuesday. DOC says that it was unrelated to heat, but I just wanted to get your response to that.
So, yeah, I honestly don't buy what the DOC says. They like to spin it, but like I also heard and that it was a health problem, but the heat and him being in the heat complicated his health problem. Is anybody else got anything on that part of the crew?
The man that was taken to the hospital yesterday, he has a heart condition. So the heart condition with the heat made it 10 times worse, and that's why he got taken out by ambulance.
Anything else, Kate?
Nope, I'm good, thank you.
Thank you so much. Anybody else from any of the other news medias? Got any question? Let's see, we got KSTP, KARE 11, WCCO. Nothing. All right. Well, I guess if there's no other further questions, this concludes our press conference on the issue with the lack of air conditioning in K3 and K4 buildings in Lino Lakes Correctional Facility. Thank you for your time and for Karen, and we appreciate it. All right, God bless.
Thank you.